Last weekend, I led a 3-hour workshop, Color Grading Deep Dive in Capture One. It was incredible and I really appreciate all the people who came out to join us. The recording of the workshop is already available at alexandra.com/workshop, and today I have prepared for you a free lesson with 4 tricks from this workshop. You will learn how your brain lies about color, discover why shadows make colors pop, see how to use Match Look with classic artworks, and build AI-powered batch editing workflow. I think it's really important to talk about the features of our perception of color. So how we perceive color and how our brains process color. Because actually it's way more complicated topic that might look, and that's extremely important to understand before you will proceed to working with color in Capture One. So first of all, let's start with this nice landscape. And I think we can all agree that here we see basically 2 or 3 main colors, right? So we see this yellow-orange color and the green color and maybe a little bit of blue or cyan. So 2-3 main colors, right? So that's the first impression that we all could get from this image. And here's the thing, that let's select the colors here, like this. And if you're familiar with the Capture One interface, you know that Color Editor tool has the View Selected Color Range tool, that when I'm selecting this option and I can move the selected color range, and Capture One will show me what colors I have selected. And I'm pretty sure that you have already noticed that something is really weird. So basically, all the colors that we have on this image, they fit this pretty little color range. So we can do even this way, right? So we have fit basically almost all colors on this single image and this tiny color range. How so? Because it's really weird, because we definitely have green color here. We definitely have some other colors here. And this is how our brain plays games with us. Because the actual thing is that all the colors that you see on this particular image, they are actually various hues of basically orange color, if we can, like yellow and orange colors. So for instance, if I'm going to click on some green color here, for instance, like this one, you will see that, yeah, that's like green, but mostly it's sort of dark yellow color. And that's the thing. So for instance, imagine that you would decide to adjust green color on this image, and you will select the green color range, for instance, like this, and your correction would do nothing at all. And only if you would move the color range a bit this way, yeah, then you can work with some green colors. But again, almost all the colors on this image can be fit into this single tiny color range. And this is what you need to keep in mind when you're editing any image, because sometimes you might think that, well, I have a lot of green colors, or I might have a lot of red colors or something, but in reality, you might have just a tiny piece of various hues on your image, and this is it. And what is even more interesting is that if you would try to force some colors on your image. So for instance, let's mask some green colors here. So for instance, I'm going to mask these areas, and now I'm going to select the color here, and I'm going to change the hue to the green side, and suddenly, well, it looks absolutely unnatural and toxic. Why? So why our brain plays such a weird game with us? Why it tries to perceive this actually green color as something absolutely toxic, like from some poisonous area on the earth? And the thing is that our brain knows that trees are green, grass is green, and here, when you're looking at this image, your brain just adjusts how you perceive this image. So yeah, okay, so there is this yellow color, orange color, and yeah, of course, that's a grass. It should be green, because you have seen, like, your brain has seen grass so many times in your life that, well, it is absolutely sure that it should be green. But when you're forcing the green color, your brain riots, because what is going on here? Like, why I am now seeing some green color? It shouldn't be the real green color. It should be some toxically green color, right? Because we already have the natural green color here, and when we're forcing it, our brain actually pushes back. So that's why when you're editing images, keep this in mind, that sometimes you and your viewers, you will see things a bit differently, not how they really are. And this is something you really need to think of when you're editing your images, especially when you have such easily recognizable things as grass, sky, maybe some typical cars or typical signs or something like this, or typical vegetables or typical fruits. So something very typical. But it's very important to mention that in some cases you need to keep shadows dark. And that's really important, because there is such a classical color contrast that is called light-dark contrast. That's from classical painting. And some colors, especially red color, orange color, and also purple and blue colors, they actually work way better when they are surrounded by some dark areas. So for instance, here you see it's actually a really nice image, really nice. We have nice yellow colors, we have nice red lights here, and now let's recover shadows like this, and suddenly all the magic is gone in a single moment. Revert it, and it's back, because these colors, they work only when they are surrounded by the dark areas. And in some cases, you need to keep this in mind. So for instance, here, if we will increase saturation, and again, there are a lot of colors surrounded by dark areas, and they are actually look just fantastic. And let's see what will happen if I will recover shadows here like this, and yeah, again, the magic is gone immediately, just bam, and it's gone. And that's the problem. So in some cases, you need to pursue this detailed shadows thing. So in some cases, it's better to leave them dark, because that would be just more beneficial for your particular image. And also keep in mind that any colors, they look differently depending on your image tone. So for instance, here, if I will just lower the exposure and adjust black and white point. Basically two simple actions, right? So I just lowered the exposure and adjusted the black and white point, and suddenly all the colors, even without any additional adjustments, they work way better. So if you will compare, yeah. So keep in mind that in some cases, it's just fine enough to adjust the image tone to get the right colors on your image, and that's also extremely beneficial thing to practice. Now, let's talk about color balance, because again, you will find the color balance cheat sheet in the bonus materials. And as I have already mentioned, the difference between the color editor and color balance is that color balance allows you to work only with brightness ranges. So you can't adjust a particular color range with color balance. Well, you could do this by creating a mask that will contain some particular color range, and then you can adjust it with color balance. But in general, color balance is working with particular brightness ranges. Previously, in previous versions of Capture One, I mean very, very old versions of Capture One, there was only the master color balance that affects the whole image at once. But currently, yeah, you could use it sometimes. It's pretty handy sometimes, for instance, when you need to move all your colors, let's say, in a bit more cool direction, or make them warmer. So that's like nice tool for this. But in general, most of the time you're going to work with shadow, midtone, and highlight areas. And here's the trick how you can effectively apply color balance on your images. So first, start with saturation. So because you have basically two settings. You can set the hue. So by holding the left mouse button, you can set the hue and the saturation. So that's the saturation and that's the hue. And I recommend you to just bluntly find the hue, set the saturation at maximum, and then find the perfect hue. So first set the saturation at maximum and find the perfect hue. So for instance here, yeah, maybe something like this. And then after that, just gently lower the saturation till the moment that you are good. The only important thing to keep in mind when you're working with this trick is that, again, your vision will quickly adapt to your editing. So it's better to do this pretty quickly, because otherwise, yeah, you will just adapt to this extremely saturated look and will suddenly think that, yeah, that's not bad actually. Yeah, we can go with this. No, you need to lower the saturation after that. And the same with highlights. So again, so just quickly set the maximum saturation and find some nice hue, and then lower the saturation till you will be satisfied with your look, something like this. So that's the easiest way to set the correct color balance. And also in the bonus materials, you will find a set of match look styles with different classic painters, such as, for instance, Rembrandt or Caravaggio or Vermeer. Yeah, so again, they might look a bit too powerful at first glance, but just apply them as a new layer and adjust the opacity, and you will get a really nice look. And also, it's absolutely fine that you can't preview them, because the match look cannot be previewed. It's just the feature of the match look, and this way you can easily find some nice look. Just apply them, and you will see how it's changing your image. It works better with some images. I think this one is really nice. I have something for winter. Yeah, actually a really nice one for winter. And let's see what we have else, maybe for travel, something. Yeah, this one is really nice for travel, and this one too. So try these matchlook styles. And I personally really enjoy using various classic art as a reference. So for instance, let's take this one and let's find some nice image to apply it to, because you also should have a bit similar plot. So you can't just take a business portrait and use it with such a painting. Maybe something here. Let's try. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Maybe if we increase impact. Yeah, actually really nice. Maybe here. Not bad. Yeah, interesting. So that's an interesting style. We can adjust it further. So you don't have to stop adjusting after the very initial adjustment with the match look. Because again, I think that's a tool for inspiration, not the final look. And I think if we will just adjust it a bit, it will look way more interesting like this. And always you can change the opacity to find the right impact. Or let's take, okay, maybe this one. Let's use it as a reference, and let's try it with maybe some portrait, because that's also a portrait. Okay. Yeah, not bad, but definitely we need to change the opacity, but not bad at all. And let's maybe find some nice image. Oh, by the way, maybe this one will work. Let's see. Okay, not bad, really not bad. We can use, especially with lower opacity. It's almost always the case. You need to always adjust the opacity. And by the way, styles you can also apply to a new layer. So for instance, just right click, apply to a new layer, and this way you can also easily adjust the opacity. So experiment with the styles. And also I really enjoy using classic black and white photographs. For instance, let's take this portrait of Frida Kahlo, and I'm going to use it at some nice portrait. I think maybe even one of these. Let's apply. Okay, that's actually really interesting look. So maybe we will, if we will lower the opacity a bit. Yeah, I really like it. It's actually deep and with really interesting depth and dimension. Yeah, really nice. And what about this one? And I would like to focus on tools that are really killer features for your image editing workflow, and they can change everything regarding your image editing process. And I'm talking about subject mask, background mask, and people masking tools. So what they are and how you can use them for color grading. So the thing is that they allows you to quickly mask particular areas on your image, such as image subject or image background, or particular area of the skin, such as body skin, face skin. You can easily mask lips, pupil and iris, sclera, eyebrows, and so on, close. So all these are really nice things, but the real killer feature is that you can not only mask quickly, but you can copy these masks with all the adjustments they have. And these masks will adapt to all the other images. So let's do this way. So let's adjust this image. I'm changing white balance a bit, increasing exposure, adding a bit of contrast, something like this. And now I'm going to let's create background mask like this. It's not perfect, so you see sometimes it's not really perfect, although that's pretty challenging pose, but still it's not perfect, but fine enough for any professional work. And what I'm going to do here, first I'm going to increase contrast, maybe add a bit of clarity to the background of this image. And also I like such a trick that not just to increase the contrast, but here in this particular case, I would like to make the shadows darker and blacks darker in the background. So I'm keeping the same level of lightness of the highlights and whites, but for shadows and blacks, I'm making additional adjustments, and I think it's really beneficial for this particular image. And what about the subject? Let's create a subject mask. By the way, in the newest version of Capture One, there are really nice thumbnails for every layer mask available. And so if you don't see them in your version of Capture One, that's just because most probably you have a bit older version. So when you will upgrade, you will also get access to these thumbnails and some other features that I'm showing today. So I'm going to recover the dark areas a bit on the subject, and also I'm going to adjust the skin tone a bit. So I'm going to decrease saturation a bit, lower the lightness. So in general, I would like to get a bit bronze look. Yeah, like this. So this is that I would like to have here. And also I'm going to add a little bit of color toning to the subject, shadows, and maybe slightly adjust midtones with just slight greenish color toning, yeah, something like this. And now what we can also do, we can apply some people masking. Just to show you how it works, I'm going to create an additional mask for clothes like this. And what we can do with this, let's change the white balance a bit, maybe add just a little bit more contrast, just to show you that it works. And maybe let's create another one for hair. And I would like to make hair a bit more deep and add a bit of depth to them and contrast. Yes, something like this. Okay, I think it's fine. So now let's copy these adjustments. So I'm going to copy the exposure and contrast correction that I have initially applied and all the layers. And now I will select similar images and I will apply these AI masks to them. And that's just amazing. So now we have all images adjusted absolutely the same way with unique masks, unique adjustments shared across all the images. So that's the real game changer. This is something that will change your image editing workflow, because now you can build all your color grading in layers and just copy and apply them to all your images from this photo shoot, and you will get the same color grading, the same adjustments on every single image. And as you can see, every mask is unique on every image, and that's just unbelievably impressive. So that's really a fantastic feature. In the full workshop, you will find 3 hours of professional color grading techniques in Capture One. We will go over the classic color grading approaches, learn how to use curves, color editor and color balance, and discover how to build an AI-powered workflow. Plus, you will get bonus styles, cheat sheets, and raw files for image editing practice. You can get instant access to the recording at alexandra.com/workshop.